In today's Rapid TV News discussion about media management, we've talked a lot about metadata, we've talked about structure and standardization versus configurability, we've talked about processes and technology. At the heart of this, there seems to be the need for one particular, very particular skill. How important in the searchability and usability of archives, and indeed the whole media management process, is the role of a skilled archivist or a librarian? You talked about this, Jeff. Perhaps you'd like to kick off this discussion.
I think, again, this is down to definitions. If you look at the classic librarian or historian, or rather they are historians effectively, that they know the history probably behind the shoot itself. An archivist, much the same, they will know. But in this day and age, I think for the normal people who are not librarians, archivists, to be able to find material, it's got to be put in what I would call common everyday language. It's no good putting in some long-winded historical reference to a particular bit of content. It's got to go in the phrases that are used by the production process, the production team. So I think we're going to look at the whole job description of these people changing immensely over the coming years, because, and I would go to the point of saying, are they really necessary anymore? Is it more a case that the people involved in the process, the production PAs, the editors, the producers, are the people that are entering the metadata as it's going along? Yes, you'll need somebody to move the tapes out of the data robots and put them in the hangars at some point in time, but that needn't necessarily be a librarian. That can quite easily just be a technician.
Tony, Jeff clearly wants to fire a lot of people in the industry. What's your feeling about this?
I think this goes back to some of the earlier subjects that we've been talking about with regards to workflow and the process of metadata entry and the process of standardized metadata schemas, etc. I think in the production process, if we take that, then the entry of metadata, as Peter said, at the best point of data entry, providing them with the screens to do it, builds that metadata up. But I still feel that there is a significant place for specialised cataloguers, people that understand the capabilities of the systems to search and catalogue, and providing that information, the taxonomies, the thesaurus, all of those elements. So I still see that there's going to be a requirement for archivists, librarians. I think, to Jeff's point, it will shift. I think the workload will change, because let's face it, traditionally systems haven't been there, and therefore the archivist and the librarian has been the person that's filled out the record card with as much information as they can find on it. Whereas now a lot of that information should be in the system already. So it's really getting down to the specialists, cataloguing and librarians, to enter the relevant information, whether it be historical, sports generated, news generated, etc. So I still think there's going to be a place there for them.
Is it not down to the systems to a certain extent to prompt the users to put in the right quality of information?
Absolutely. I think that is the case as it goes through the process. But I think when you get to the point of so cataloguing and logging the World Cup, that sort of information is going to be done by a specific set of people, and it's what's been traditionally the librarians and the archivists that I think that are going to be doing that level of cataloguing, not the technical metadata about where it was shot and all those sorts of things, because that can come in from downstream. So you're right, I think the standardised metadata will allow it to be built up, but there is still a place for librarians and archivists.
Peter, you know, is media management a new home for geeks and nerds?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that the point that comes out of that is very much that it's so important to police and to make sure that that good quality information's going in there, and to have somebody who is quite geeky and nerdy about the content to make sure that it's put in a consistent and sensible way, and to really just take ownership of the problem of making sure that all that information is clean and good. Because with the best will in the world, I mean, search engines now are incredible in terms of this concept of thesaurus, the concept of looking at meaning rather than just the words, associated words just through news events and so on. So there's an awful lot is done in the search engine, but if that information wasn't put in a relatively sensible way to begin with, then it's just never going to get found. So I think that the role of an archivist changes, but equally the amount of content that we're now able to store massively increases. So the two balance each other out in some respects, and it just means that one person can do a lot more.
Is there going back to the idea of standardisation, which we were talking about before, and kind of there's some agreement that that's an impossible dream, but if you look at libraries in the old school sense, and the Dewey system, which became the classic cataloguing system for libraries, is it not possible that kind of idea could provide a principle for a form of, if you like, fluid standardisation, which then allows the archivists and so on and people involved at every level of content production and manipulation to at least have a degree of understanding of what they should be entering in terms of metadata and so on?
I think this goes back to the issue of absolute standardised data model versus an extensible data model. I think it all links in together, and I think that this is about the metadata and how effective that metadata is. I think each different industry, each different business has a different structure to the metadata that could be catalogued, and if we look at it, the media industry, the broadcast industry, is about everything. Films, videos, TV programs, etc. are made about virtually every aspect of our world. So trying to standardise the metadata around absolutely every aspect of our world is virtually impossible. So I think the fact that people create the standards, the standard metadata, the thesaurus, if you like, the taxonomies around specific subjects, sports, whether it be politics,
natural history.
Natural history. That's absolutely the way that it needs to go. And being able to utilise those in each different area.